In ancient Egypt, where the Nile's lifeblood flowed and gods walked among mortals, magic wasn't a mere trick. It was the very essence of existence. The Egyptians called it Heka, a divine cosmic force that permeated all things. It was established by the sun god Ra, the supreme creator of the universe. Ra, in his ultimate power, created the god Heka, who was magic itself, and then harnessed this force to maintain the divine order of the cosmos. Ra reigned at the zenith of his glory, his light nourishing the fields and his voice commanding the heavens. Yet even the greatest of gods fears the whisper of fate. Ra's divine wisdom revealed a secret prophecy. The sky goddess Nut was destined to give birth to 5 children. From among them, one would rise to challenge his throne, threatening to end his reign over the world of men. Each day, Nut swallowed Ra at sunset and gave birth to him again at dawn, a cycle of life and death that now carried a dark and personal prophecy for the sun god himself. Fear seized the sun god's heart. He couldn't undo the prophecy, but he could bind it. So Ra wove a curse upon Nut. No child of yours shall be born on any day of the year. At that time, the year was a rigid 360 days, each one firmly within Ra's domain, leaving no hour or minute unclaimed. Nut wept, her womb bound in silence, for she longed to bring forth her children. Sad and troubled, she sought out Thoth, the wise god of magic, knowledge, and clever tricks. Thoth, a son of Ra who cared deeply for Nut, understood that a curse spoken by Ra could not simply be unsaid. Yet in his brilliant mind, he found a path no one else could see. He approached Khonsu, the radiant moon god, and challenged him to a game of drafts, a contest of skill and wit. Each time Thoth won, he claimed a sliver of Khonsu's light as his prize. Slowly the moon began to wane as Thoth's winnings mounted, its glow diminishing with every move. Finally, weary and dim, Khonsu refused to play further. Thoth, wise and victorious, gathered the stolen light and wove it into 5 new days. These were special, extraordinary days that existed outside the 360-day year, placed between its end and the beginning of the next. Ever since, the Egyptians have celebrated these 5 days as sacred festivals. Khonsu, however, never shone the same again. The moon now waxes and wanes, a perpetual reminder of the game he lost to Thoth. On the first of these 5 days, Nut gave birth to Osiris, who would become a wise and just king. After his death, he would reign as lord of the underworld. The world stirred with wonders at his birth. A voice rang out from the great temple at Thebes, announcing to a man named Pamils, "Osiris, the good and mighty king, is born. He will bring joy to all the earth." Pamils was chosen as the child's guardian, entrusted by the gods to guide him in the ways of men. On the second day, Horus the elder was born, strong and proud. The third brought Set, dark and restless, who would become the god of storms and conflict. On the fourth came Isis, bright with magic and love, a goddess destined to protect kings. And on the fifth, the shadowy figure of Nephthys was born, who walked between life and death. As Osiris grew to manhood, he married his sister Isis, as was the law among the gods. Their union set a precedent, which future pharaohs of Egypt would follow by marrying their own sisters. Set also married his sister, Nephthys, bound by the same divine law. After Isis, through her cleverness, learned Ra's secret name, Osiris became the sole ruler of Egypt, reigning on earth as Ra had once done. He found his people wild and savage, living in discord, but Isis discovered the wild grains of wheat and barley, and Osiris patiently taught his people how to plant, tend, and harvest crops after the Nile's yearly flood. He showed them how to grind grain into flour and bake bread. He taught them to cultivate vines and make wine, while they already knew how to brew beer. With their physical needs met, Osiris taught them laws, how to live together peacefully, and filled their days with music, poetry, and joy. He transformed them from a wild, warring tribe into a civilized and happy society. As Egypt flourished, filled with peace and bounty, Osiris embarked on journeys to share his gifts with distant lands. During his absence, Isis ruled with wisdom and grace, ensuring the kingdom's continued prosperity. But their brother Set seethed with a venomous envy. The more the people celebrated Osiris, the more Set's desire to seize the throne burned within him. Upon Osiris's return, Set masked his hatred with outward respect, bowing before the beloved pharaoh. Inside, a sinister plan was taking shape. Aided by 72 conspirators and the wicked queen of Ethiopia, Set secretly measured Osiris in his sleep. He then commissioned a magnificent chest, crafted from rare cedar and ebony, inlaid with ivory and gold, and painted with divine figures. Set hosted a grand feast in Osiris's honor, a spectacle of rich food, fine wine, and beautiful dancers. As the celebrations reached their peak, the ornate chest was unveiled. "I will give this chest to whoever fits it best," Set announced. One by one, the conspirators tried, but none could fit. Finally, Osiris lay down inside, and it was a perfect match. "It is mine," he declared joyfully. At that moment, Set cried out, "It is yours indeed, and shall be so forever." He slammed the lid shut, and the conspirators rushed to nail it tight and seal every crack with molten lead, trapping and killing Osiris. His spirit departed, beginning its journey to the land of the dead. Set and his allies then cast the chest into the Nile, where the river god carried it out to sea. The chest drifted until it came to rest inside a tamarisk tree on the shores of Phoenicia, near the city of Byblos. The tree grew to encompass the chest, its fragrance enchanting all who passed by. King Malcander and Queen Astarte of Byblos were so captivated that they had the tree cut down and fashioned into a grand pillar for their palace, unaware that it held the body of a god. In Egypt, Isis was consumed by grief. Her magic could not locate the chest, but children playing by the river told her they had seen it float to the sea. Following their lead, she journeyed to Byblos. There she was discovered by Queen Astarte's maidens, who were captivated by her serene beauty. Isis taught them to braid their hair, and they returned to the palace with a strange, wonderful perfume clinging to them. Intrigued, the queen sent for Isis and, still unaware of her true identity, invited her to care for her ailing baby, Dictys. Isis, growing fond of the child, decided to make him immortal. She placed him in the fire to burn away his mortality, but Queen Astarte, walking in, screamed in alarm. Isis, her ritual interrupted, revealed her divine form. The terrified queen and her husband offered Isis all their treasures, but the goddess only asked for the great tamarisk pillar. They gave it to her, and Isis carefully opened it to retrieve the chest. The pillar, now empty, became a sacred relic in Byblos, revered for having once held the body of a god. With the chest secured, Isis sailed for Egypt. But Set, ever cruel, was not finished. While hunting, he stumbled upon the chest and in a rage tore open the coffin. He dismembered Osiris's body into 14 pieces and scattered them along the Nile to be devoured by crocodiles. "I have destroyed Osiris," or he roared, his laughter echoing across the land. Once more, Isis set out to recover her husband's body. She was joined by her sister Nephthys, who had abandoned her wicked husband, and Anubis, their son, in the form of a jackal. Protected by 7 scorpions and sailing in a papyrus boat that kept crocodiles at bay, Isis searched tirelessly. As she found each piece, she would wrap it in linen, perform a sacred rite, and magically create a complete likeness of the god. In this way, 13 shrines were created, confusing Set and protecting the pieces. One piece, however, was lost forever, devoured by fish. Isis meticulously gathered all the recoverable fragments of Osiris, even recreating the lost piece with her magic. With the help of Anubis, the god of embalming, and her sister Nephthys, she reassembled his body and wrapped it in linen bandages. This act made Osiris the first mummy, a sacred ritual that established the very foundation of Egyptian burial practices. Through her divine magic, Isis then brought him back to life, just long enough for their spirits to unite. From this mystical reunion, their son Horus was conceived, the avenger destined to restore order to Egypt. Osiris's spirit then passed into the underworld, where he would forever rule as Lord of the Dead. His preserved body, hidden away, set the pattern for all future Egyptian mummification, ensuring that the living and the dead could remain connected and be guided by the gods through the cycles of life and rebirth. As Horus grew, the spirit of Osiris visited him, teaching him the skills of a great warrior. One day Osiris asked his son, "What is the noblest thing a man can do?" Horus replied without hesitation, "To avenge his father and mother for the evil done to them." Pleased, Osiris knew his son was ready. Even Ra came to aid Horus, joining him in his divine boat. But Set, in the form of a massive black pig, passed by just as Ra was looking into Horus's eyes, momentarily distracting him. Unprepared and without a protective charm, Horus was struck a fiery blow to his eyes by Set, who then vanished. Thoth restored his vision, and Horus set out up the Nile ready for war. The great battle took place near Edfu. Set, now a massive red hippopotamus, appeared on the island of Elephantine and unleashed a terrible storm upon Horus's fleet. But Horus, transformed into a 12-foot-tall man, holding a harpoon, held steady. With a single powerful throw, he pierced the hippopotamus's brain, killing the monster and ending the storm. The people of Edfu celebrated his victory, their songs immortalizing his triumph. Even after Horus became pharaoh and then left the earth, he and Set continued their cosmic struggle for the souls of men. The Egyptians believed that one day Horus would finally defeat Set forever, allowing Osiris to return and reign over the earth once more. This belief in the final victory inspired them to embalm their dead, so that their bodies would be ready to live again under the benevolent rule of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. The myth of Osiris is more than a tale of gods. It is a profound blueprint of the human psyche's journey toward wholeness. Osiris represents the integrated self, the conscious ego that brings order to the world. His dismemberment by Set symbolizes psychic fragmentation, the shattering of the unified self when confronted by its unacknowledged dark side. Set, in this view, is the unintegrated shadow, the embodiment of the rage and destructive impulses that lie hidden beneath the conscious persona. Isis embodies the healing forces of the unconscious. Her quest to reassemble Osiris is the quintessential process of individuation, the soul's journey to reclaim its broken parts. The eternal struggle between Horus and Set represents the lifelong battle between the ego and the shadow. The wounding and restoration of Horus's eye shows that true sight is earned by confronting inner chaos. Ultimately, the myth induces a powerful line of questioning. If the shadow is an essential part of the self, what does the myth's eternal struggle between Horus and Set suggest about the process of confronting our inner darkness? How can suffering teach wisdom, and how do we reassemble ourselves after being broken? We hope this deep dive into the myth has given you a new perspective on this ancient story. Thanks for watching.